Hello everyone. So first of all, thanks for joining the session. So I'm turning off my video because there is a power cut in my area. So I think you might be excited or want to know what this session is all about, like mental health. I think it's a new session. अभी इससे पहले आपने कभी ये session सुना नहीं होगा कि mental health के ऊपर क्या session, right? So I have been connected with the organization known as Be Care with past 5 to 6 months, uh, where they deal with mental health issue. So मुझे ये लगा कि आई थिंक ये एक इम्पोर्टेंट सेशन रहेगा आपको जो वो कर रहे हैं आप सभी के लिए, बिकॉज बेसिकली हम सभी के लाइफ में कुछ ना कुछ स्ट्रेस रहता है, वेदर यू आर अ फ्रेशर और वेदर यू आर वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल. सो वर्किंग वालों के क्या स्ट्रेस है कि जॉब भी करना है, ये कोर्स भी करना है, फिर प्लेसमेंट भी लेना है. और वर्किंग वाले बेसिकली अगर मैं फाइनेंस कोर्स की बात करूं तो सेल्स में ज्यादा रहते हैं, लगभग मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, राइट. एंड दे वांट टू स्विच देयर करियर इन फाइनेंस फील्ड. सो वो प्रेशर भी है, सेल्स से हटना भी है, बट इतना प्रेशर है काम का कि 10 10 बजे काम भी कर रहे हैं और फिर ये कोर्स का भी असेसमेंट कर रहे हैं. तो बहुत स्ट्रेस रहता है, एंजाइटी रहती है होगा कि नहीं होगा. और एक एंजाइटी और रहती है फ्रेशर्स के लिए बेसिकली कि यार 1 साल का गैप है या प्लेसमेंट चाहिए, तो वो एंजाइटी भी रहती है, राइट. पर्सनली मुझे जब लगा मैं अपनी बात करूँ एज एन पर्सनल लेवल. सो व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग माय एमबीए, सो थोड़ा बहुत एंजाइटी थी यार प्लेसमेंट कहाँ पे होगा. फिर जब प्लेसमेंट हो गया इन स्किल एज, देन एंजाइटी रहती है टारगेट्स पूरा करने का. एक स्ट्रेस रहता ही रहता है हर किसी के लाइफ में, नॉट इन माय लाइफ, हर किसी के लाइफ में. सो जब मैंने प्रिया मैम से बात करी तो उन्होंने जब मुझे बताया कि वो किस चीज के ऊपर डील कर रही हैं, सो मुझे एक इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्टर लगा कि ये सेशन कहीं ना कहीं आप लोगों के साथ होना चाहिए. क्यों होना चाहिए? बिकॉज यही सब चीज आप लोग कहीं ना कहीं फेस कर रहे हो. ओके. सो इसके लिए जब टीम अप विद द बी केयर. बी केयर क्या है? इट्स अ मेंटल हेल्थ सर्विस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. एंड एज एन कंपनी वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट इन करियर बिल्डिंग योर मेंटल हेल्थ इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर. सो टुडे वी हैव श्रेया मैम, जो कि एक काउंसलिंग साइकोलॉजिस्ट हैं फ्रॉम बी केयर. सो वो आपको इस पूरे सेशन में गाइड करेंगी हाउ टू ओवरकम योर स्ट्रेस पार्ट. ओके. सो प्रिया मैम, इफ यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग, थोड़ा मैं मिस कर गया हूँ तो आप बता दो. ओके, देन वी कैन स्टार्ट इनिशिएट द सेशन. प्रिया मैम आप म्यूट में.
Yeah, is it, am I audible now?
Yes ma'am, you are.
Okay. Thank you so much, Avais. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Rohit sir, and basically the whole Skillage team who could make this possible. And thank you so much, you guys. I see 22 participants over here. So getting time out of your Sunday evening, it can be really difficult, but thank you so much. So first of all, I would really thank Skillers team because they are not only concerned towards your career building, they are also equally concerned about your wellness and like your wholesome growth. So today in this coming 30 to 45 minutes of your session, we would like to help you in some of your areas that you might be feeling that you might need support or anything that you think that can help you out, right? So just be here with the session. So our organization helps the people who are dealing with any such mental health issues. And so you would be getting a webinar here by Ms. Shreya Nadimpally. She is a counseling psychologist at BCare. She deals with several mental health issues, and she provides counseling to individual, family, relationships, and any such issues that we at any stage, like any stage. So we have several stages of our life, right? Student life, job life, relationship life, family life. So any such issues that you face in this particular span of time. So we provide the services to you. Shreya ma'am is here to guide you in this particular subject. So let's hear from her. So over to you, Shreya.
Yes, thank you, Priya. Thank you everybody for being here. So before I start the session, I want to know how is everybody doing now? You can comment on the chat box. You could use one word to describe कैसे लग रहा है आज, this moment. Okay, Priya is feeling great. Good. सबको बढ़िया लग रहा है. That's very nice. Everybody is feeling good, at least currently, present moment में.
Yeah, Shreyam, sorry for interruption. So
Yes.
just I want to add one point. Guys, अगर आप देखो, आप सभी लोग कहीं ना कहीं किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हो, राइट, कहीं ना कहीं जॉब कर रहे हो. आई थिंक आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कुछ कुछ, मैं नहीं बोलूंगा सबके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, बट अभी भी किसी ना किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एक होता नहीं है मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर बात या ऑल, राइट. सो आई थिंक वी एज एन कंपनी, एज एन फर्स्ट कंपनी ओवर हियर, सो जो ये मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर कर रही है, सो आई वांट यू ऑल टू बी सीरियस फॉर दिस सेशन. एंड जो ये एक रेगुलर सेशन ही है जहाँ पे आप डर के बात करो या कुछ बोल देंगे तो क्या जज करेंगे मुझे. सो ऐसा मत सोचना. जो भी दिल में होगा, जो भी श्रेया मैम गेम्स करवाएंगी, जो भी कुछ करवाएंगी, प्लीज ओमरा ओपन अप. थैंक यू. थैंक्स.
Right. Thank you for saying that. So just like sir has very clearly mentioned कि हम ज्यादातर focus physical health पे करते हैं because वो दिखता है, right? So if something is happening with the physical health, we know that something is going wrong. But when it comes to mental health, unfortunately वो दिखता नहीं है, तो टाल देते हैं उसको. We don't pay enough attention, but again, it does show up in different ways and it affects our daily life. So today I'm here to talk about that. And the topic which I want to present today is distress tolerance. And why do we need to talk about that? So let us start the presentation here. Right. So how to tolerate distress? That's the topic for today. So distress क्या होता है? What is distress and what is it? Have you any answers coming from your end? I think वो word में ही है. Distress मतलब it is stress, not feeling stressful. So okay, so जब भी we are feeling overwhelmed by an emotional event and we are feeling, it's affecting our day-to-day functioning, or you're just feeling very overwhelmed, that is distress. And how do we tolerate distress? That's what we are here to talk about. Can you move the slide? So we are going to look at what is distress and how do we develop that skill and what are the skills. Right. So it's nothing but, like I mentioned, it's a person's ability to, even if something overwhelming happens, kuch unpleasant situation hua hai, for example, and we can't really change once something has happened, फिर भी हम उसको कैसे handle करें? What do we do to, kind of go through that situation without really changing anything, not changing the situation itself, right? So that is the whole idea here. हम generally क्या सोचते हैं, अगर कोई unpleasant चीज हो रहा है, for example, you fought with somebody, your really good friend is not being good to you, तो हमारे दिमाग में यही चलता है कि this person should behave well with me, or he should resolve the issue, and external change के लिए we'll be waiting, and that's what we long for, कुछ external fix हो जाए उसका. But it's not going to really, we are not focusing on that part, but we are focusing on how do we kind of try to handle what is happening on the inside before expecting कि outside का कुछ बदल जाए और हमारे लिए convenient हो जाए, so we are feeling all right? So yes, next slide. And you would ask me कि why do we need to develop this skill? Why do you think we need to develop this skill? वहीं पे है शायद जवाब. So I'll go ahead and talk about it. So that is because no matter what we do, हम unpleasant situations को तो we can't avoid, right? We can't hope that everything good is going to happen in our life. Can we? अगर हम hope भी कर ले, is there a guarantee that only best things are always going to happen?
No, ma'am.
There's yeah, unfortunately, right? So because of that, because there is no guarantee for that, and it is bound to happen. Unpleasant situations are bound to happen. It will keep happening time and again. इसीलिए जरूरत है कि हम ये skill develop करें कि जब भी कुछ अपने it's things are not working out the way we want them to work out. वैसी situations में what do we do? Because obviously we will not feel okay on the inside, right? If something is not working out. So that's what we are looking at here. And also, we all are very different. Har ek banda, is different from the other person. So that means the way we experience a certain emotion and to what intensity we experience it and how often we experience it, wo bhi alag-alag hota hai, right? So generally we make a mistake of agar mujhe gussa zyada nahi aata hai, for example, and if somebody is getting angry, then मैं उसको बोल रही हूँ कि ऐसे गुस्सा नहीं आना चाहिए. I don't know why you're always angry. Just do this, you'll be fine. But we all are very different, and I do not know her story. I do not know her vulnerability. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता है. शायद उसको भी नहीं पता होगा. Why is she reacting the way she is? So it's a little bit more complex. And also, generally, जब भी कुछ भी unpleasant होता है and we are feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, हम ज़्यादातर unhelpful ways use करते हैं to cope with it, right? And that could be because we do not know what else to do, and this is easier maybe. And वो moment पे maybe our intention is just to avoid that emotion, avoid what has happened. तो उससे escape करने के लिए we want to do something which will give us maybe immediate temporary relief hota hai, but immediate relief ke liye we keep looking out for ways. So, and they may not be helpful, right? So also, ऐसी situations में ये भी होता है कि our brain, right, a rational side of our brain is not very active when we are overwhelmed with an emotion. So emotional part of our brain will take the front seat, rational part will take a back seat. वो होता है. So even when we are telling somebody ki, somebody is extremely angry, wo moment pe, kind of trying to talk very rationally to them may not help, because at that moment, the rational part of them biologically also, that's not supporting. So, and that's exactly when we make bad choices. We might act out on those emotions. Impulsively, hum act out kar dete hai. And, all the unhealthy coping mechanisms come into the picture. So what do we do about it? Next slide, please. So we will learn about two types of distress tolerance skills. Pehla wala hai crisis survival skills. Next slide. So what is crisis survival skills? Ye short-term basis ke liye hai. So it's a disclaimer. This is not supposed to be used hamesha, whatever is happening. So when you're feeling extremely anxious, short term ke liye, what do you do to manage, to kind of go through and be okay with whatever you're going through? So uske liye, there is this technique which we use, and that's uska acronym hai STOP. What does that mean? S is actually stop. So you're feeling a certain way, gussa aa raha hai, something has happened, somebody has done something, I'm feeling extremely triggered and I want to yell at that person, for example. So at that moment, you're consciously trying to tell yourself, stop. And kyun hum bol rahe stop? Because I've already said that ki hamara brain, because of this emotion, it doesn't have the capacity at that moment to act rationally, to be logical. तो इसीलिए we will have to remind the brain, remind ourselves कि अच्छा, stop, and you take a back step, take a deep breath, leave the situation. You know, if you are with your friend, colleague, गुस्सा आ रहा है, you want to say something to them, excuse yourself, leave the situation, take a break, take a deep breath, then observe. वो जब break लेते हो ना, तब observe करो, observe and try to understand what is happening on the inside. क्या महसूस हो रहा है, what is happening on the outside, what are your feelings like, what are your thoughts, and what are the behaviors of the other person. Observe karo, note karo, and then proceed mindfully and effectively. So then think about what can you do about that situation. So how can you, what are the pros of maybe acting out at that moment, and what are the cons of acting out. So for example, ये भी जानना जरूरी है कि like I mentioned, अगर शायद somebody is very angry and they want to yell, that is called crisis urge. So notice करो, जब भी ऐसे overwhelming situations में, there is always a crisis urge. You feel like doing something. Either you want to yell, or suppose, you've been working long hours, बहुत stressed लग रहा है, then you feel like chalo jaake, maybe I want to smoke, and you've already smoked twice in the day. Maybe you want to smoke again and again because of the lot of workload. Your brain is stressed out. So that could be a crisis urge. So your body is telling you ki acha ye kar do, wo kar do, because it wants an immediate relief. Usko thoda, it wants a relief. That's all it's seeking for. So when that happens, because you're taking a break, you're taking a long breath, you're observing, you're sitting with yourself, write down what are the pros of acting on that crisis urge, what are the cons of acting on that crisis urge, and what are the pros of not acting on it, what are the cons of not acting on it. Ye likho, and then think about it. Also observe jab bhi ye crisis urge resurface hota hai, because it does happen. It's not going to go just once, right? Bar you might feel like yelling, you might feel like, if there is something that you generally do, you want to, unhealthy coping mechanisms, jo bhi hote, drinking, smoking, or whatever you generally do. So jab bhi aisa lagta hai, try to do all of this. And also there is some other technique called tip. So वो use करते हैं हम जब you want to really reduce that extreme emotion. Extremely कुछ अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. So how do we reduce that in that moment? So for that, key is tip the temperature of your face. मतलब अपना, take your face, dip it in a bowl of cold water for some time. मतलब for few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, however long you can last. और उससे क्या होता है, our heart rate will reduce. थोड़ा, it's for temporary basis, लेकिन फिर भी थोड़ा कम होता है. And this is थोड़ा deep, because when we are flustered, when we are going through a lot, our heart rate and everything imbalance ho jata hai. So when you're doing something like this, it kind of brings you down to a little bit of normalcy, thoda, for some time. So all of this is short term. It's not going to help you long term ke liye, right? So again, you could do an intense exercise, workout karo, and also you could do breathing, and this is very, very helpful. I want you to take a note of this and try it out, क्योंकि हम सुनेंगे कितना भी information लेंगे, it will not make sense really, and it will also might feel like कि breathing करने से क्या हो जाएगा, my problem is so, it's not going to get solved so easily, but I want you to try and then think about, is it working or not working. So paced breathing में हम क्या करते हैं, we take slow breaths, deep but slow breaths. So हम क्या करेंगे, inhalation, slowly you inhale, and making sure the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. So, and you exhale the air out, and to an extent that if possible, 6 breaths for a minute. वहां तक अगर कर सकोगे, that's like a lot of, very slow and paced breathing, but if you can, that really helps because it's scientifically proven कि ऐसा जब हम बहुत ही slow, very slowly we are taking deep breaths, that helps in pain management. So if that's not happening, it's fine, but still like trying to take slow, deep breaths and making sure your exhalation, जब हवा छोड़ते हो, that should be longer than the inhalation. Okay, and do it at least for 5 to 6 or 7 minutes. And along with the paced breathing, you can also muscle relaxation bhi kar sakte ho. What does that mean is when you're inhaling, you're tensing your muscles. So you inhale, tense your muscles, and then you exhale and relax yourself and let go of whatever tension, whatever is stored inside the body, usko hum release karte. That you can do. And yeah, next slide. Yes, so we looked at crisis survival skills, and that is, like I said, वो temporary है, temporary basis के लिए. Now we are looking at reality acceptance skills, और ये होता है long term basis के लिए. So how do you deal with a distressing situation or in general stress and anxiety, which cannot be immediately करने से वो change नहीं होगा. Even then you can use crisis survival skills, but uske baad mein eventually looking at the long term things you might need to do, right? So reality acceptance skills, and it's self-explanatory. Reality acceptance, जो भी situation हुआ है उसको हम accept करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. But why do we have to accept why do we have to accept the reality? Because when we are going through something, sometimes we do not want to accept what's happening, right? Both naturally hota hai. We want to be in denial sometimes, which is okay to some extent, but eventually it's important that we start to understand what has happened and come to terms with it. And if we do not do that, unfortunately, things will only get worse. Isliye it's important that you accept it. So even if you want to change the reality, which you lost, you were expecting कि अच्छा placement हो जाएगा, नहीं हुआ है, and that is the reality, and you do not want to accept it, and तुम्हें लग रहा, I mean maybe you're feeling like अभी भी हो जाएगा, maybe that company which I lost, maybe it's still going to happen. Or for example, you like somebody and that person is not showing interest, and हम लग रहा है कि नहीं, maybe they will reciprocate, maybe I need to be like this, maybe I need to change this about myself, नहीं हो रहा है. So in a situation like that, if you want to change the reality, you will have to accept it. पहले जो है उसको उसी तरह accept करना पड़ेगा. So just accepting for what it is, and trying to understand what is happening, what has happened, and coming to terms with it. So wo karne ke liye, again, like I'm mentioning again and again, it's a skill. So we will have to work on that skill. वो immediately नहीं होता है, because our brain is also, it doesn't let us kind of accept or be okay with whatever is happening and be accepting and surrendering to situations. बहुत ही सताते रहता है. It will rebel, it will disturb you, it will do all of those things. So that is why it will take its time. And what are the certain steps you can take to kind of to be able to accept a situation for what it is. And yes, so first thing you do is you're observing ki, am I questioning the reality or am I fighting the reality? Because dono mein farak hota hai. If you are questioning the reality, that's okay, because we all will question if something wrong has happened, right? वो बहुत natural है. ऐसा थोड़ी ना हम without questioning we are completely, हाँ ये हुआ है, I accept it, I'm okay with it, ऐसा कोई नहीं बोलेगा. So we are going to question the reality. But if you are fighting the reality, which is you do not want to talk about it, you do not want to acknowledge कि क्या हुआ है. That is fighting. Questioning, you're at least talking about it. You want to know why this has happened. You're angry maybe, or you're still talking about it. Then reminding yourself that whatever has happened, unpleasant situation happened, वो हो गया है, उसको हम change नहीं कर सकते. So accepting it for what it is. And when you do that, and when you're slowly trying to accept the reality, and you're practicing just, coming to terms with it, uske saath, it does not mean that you have to really like the reality to accept it. ध्यान से सुनो, because हमें लगता है कि if we are accepting the reality, which means that we are okay with the reality, we like it. नहीं, not necessarily. Somebody has passed away, if somebody's loved one has passed away, and they're trying to accept the situation, that they're not there anymore, उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि they will like the reality कि हाँ कितना, they passed away and I'm okay with it, I'm happy with it. No, I'm unhappy with it. I'm unhappy, and it really sucks that something like this happened. I'm extremely angry. I still have, there are still questions I need answers for. Jo bhi ho, everything is valid. You can be angry with it. You can be unhappy with it. But can you still accept it? Ki हाँ ये हुआ है. I can't. It has happened now. That makes all the difference, right? That is what I'm saying. So practicing accepting your whole self. So whatever is coming up for you when you're starting to accept the reality, which I will explain in another point. Also, practicing the opposite action. Uska matlab ye hai ki if suppose I have accepted the reality, then what are the things I would do? Do them. So write down what are the things I would do if suppose I have accepted, and going ahead and doing those behaviors, actions. Yes, next slide. Yes, so like I said, जब हम accept करेंगे, like we are accepting this is happening, उसके साथ what happens when we do that is we'll start allowing ourselves to feel all the emotions. So जब सोचो एक box है, उसको हम बंद करके रखे हैं, जब बंद करके when it is closed, we do not know what is in it, so we don't know what's there. But when we open it, anything can be there inside, right? So that's what it is. So when you accept it, reality ko, jab you might feel any which way. Kuch bhi, matlab you may be angry, you yourself may not know what are the emotions that will come up when you're accepting the reality. You might feel angry, you might feel sad, you might feel disappointed, right? So that is why sometimes we also avoid accepting the reality, क्योंकि हमें वो after process को undergo नहीं करना होता है. If I accept that somebody is not reciprocating the feelings, then I might feel rejected, I might feel low self-esteem, I might feel disappointed, और मुझे ये नहीं feel करना है. That is why it's easier to convince yourself कि no, I think they like me, मुझे और try करना चाहिए. Maybe I think, something is happening in their life, that's why they are not giving me an answer. Whatever the mind comes up with. But once you cross that stage and accepted the reality, tab hota hai asli challenge. All these emotions will, surface. You will start feeling every which way. And it is okay to feel whatever is coming up. Unfortunately, somewhere we have been told कि जब भी sad लगता है, जब भी गुस्सा आता है, कुछ गलत है, something wrong is happening with you. There is something wrong. No, there is nothing wrong happening. क्योंकि ये बहुत ही natural है. All the emotions are part of us and they're helping us navigate our life, right? हम बिना anger, बिना disappointment और बिना sadness, we can't just program ourselves to just feel happy all the time. वो नहीं हो पाएगा. And imagine what a mechanical world it will become if we are only happy all the time. Every emotion will be present. There is nothing wrong about it. But we are learning how to tolerate an emotion. Tolerate करने का skill develop करना पड़ेगा. So I am feeling sad. How do I tolerate this sadness? How do I understand this sadness? Sometimes you will also have to understand कि अच्छा sad लग रहा है, then why am I feeling sad? somebody passed away इसीलिए sad लग रहा है, there is a connection. Sometimes there may not be any connection and you're still feeling sad. वैसे time पे if whatever you're doing is not helping, then you may need to go a little bit deeper. अभी box को open किया है, so you will have to go a little more deeper, and that might need, you might need a little more professional, you might need help, external help की जरूरत पड़ेगी to understand what's happening. But other than that, when coming back to this, when you are allowing, observing जो भी sensation अंदर लग रहा है, whatever is coming up for you, I want you to visualize that you're sitting in a room, a huge room, and you're sitting along with whatever emotions are coming up for you. बाजू में बैठा है sadness, there is anger, everything is sitting with you, and you're sitting with it for some time. So you've made a room for it. You're tolerating it, right? And then while you're doing that, also acknowledging the other things, the other aspects of your life, which in a situation where you're feeling uncomfortable and not so happy, वैसे situation में, while you're acknowledging everything else, the sadness, the grief, you can also think about what are the good things right now? What are the things I can still look forward to? Do different things. You may have people in your life who are always encouraging and supportive. So thinking about them and taking their support. Or maybe you are somebody who loves listening to music. So there are so many other things which may help you in the moment. They're also very important. Usko use karo at that time. And just like, for example, जब भी हम workout करते हैं, we feel body pain होता है ना workout करते हैं जब. ऐसा नहीं कि कोई discomfort ही नहीं होता है. Happily we are working out. No, right? There is also a lot of discomfort that comes along with working out. After a period of time, maybe it will become better. But also if we stop working out even for 3 or 4 days, फिर से pain शुरू हो जाता है. So while we are working out and while we are experiencing discomfort, we are still keeping at it. Or at least that's the mindset, right? That discomfort लगे तो भी करते रहना पड़ेगा. That's when your body will change. It is the same here. And you are not trying to do anything. जो discomfort हो रहा है उसको, you're not trying to dismiss it, right? You're acknowledging it. हाँ, आज पैर में बहुत दर्द हो रहा था. I think somebody.
अरे नहीं, थोड़ा माहौल शांत हो जाएगा ना, कब वो लोग छूट के कहाँ चले जाएंगे किसी को नहीं पता चलता. वो खाली दिखावटी है सर.
Yes. Right. So we are accepting वो जो discomfort होता है workout के वजह से. And also to make it easier, people listen to music while working out. They work out with other people so that it's easier. Discomfort थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है when you have company. So similar to that, you can do all of these things while you are sitting with your grief, sadness, discomfort, and doing other things which may help. Also looking at pros and cons of that situation. मतलब अगर आप फिर भी आपको accept नहीं हो रहा है situation, then what are the pros of accepting the situation and what are the cons of accepting the situation? Sorry, not what are the pros of accepting the reality and what are the cons of not accepting the reality? So वो लिख के, then again you're trying to look at both the situations and what is best for you. It might help you a little bit more with that. Right. So I want you to, all of you, in your free time, abhi kuch nahi I don't want you to do anything right now, but in your free time, I want you to identify 2 situations where you are wanting to accept something. Which unpleasant situation hoga life mein, if suppose. I want you to reflect about those situations and also think about how much level of acceptance has come so far. So for that, on a scale of 1 to 5, socho 1 is the least, 5 is the highest. Wo scale pe, how much would you rate the level of acceptance for that particular situation? And based on that, I want you to apply the whatever steps we have spoken about, I have told you about. वो apply करके देखो how it goes. And again, like every skill, it takes time, it takes effort, and it may not happen in a day or two, but it is an important skill because जब भी अच्छा होता है, I think we all get through that. Everything is nice, but we need to prepare ourselves for the times when things are not so good, right? And that is very, very important. So hopefully, I hope that whatever I've said made sense to some extent, at least. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Yes. Priya, you want to take over from here?
Thanks, Shreya. It was a wonderful session.
Yes, thank
So,
you.
I hope you guys were able to get some value out of this session. So, क्या होता है जैसे अभी आप प्लेसमेंट के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, जॉब के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, राइट? So there are many situations that comes along in this journey, right? Where we feel down, where we feel that no, we are not doing what is expected. So वो क्या होता है उस जर्नी में इम्पैक्ट करता है और वो आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ में भी इम्पैक्ट करता है. And this is bound to happen to everyone. So, but if you are thinking that this is happening to you more often, or if this is impacting you like daily, like if this is hampering your day-to-day activities, then we at BeCare, like as a mental health service organization, we want you to reach out to Skillage team. So you have the Skillage team who has given this opportunity for you, like the mental health support, and you have the BeCare, right? So you can reach out anytime to the BeCare team. So we have an Instagram page and we have a website. So on Instagram, if you want to reach out to us, so it's BeCare official. So anytime you want to reach out, you can reach out to us, but please don't think. So if there is anyone who has not muted, please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So if you are thinking that now you are in the career building process, so you don't want to go ahead and you don't need it or something, yeah, maybe this is not the right time for you. But believe me, if this is impacting your daily life, if this is impacting you more than often like how it should be, then you need to reach out for some professional help. So like don't just suffer in silence, kind of just reach out whoever you can. So with that, I would want to wind up, and I'll just give it over to Surveys. Thank you so much, Surveys.
Thanks, Priya ma'am. Thanks, Shreya. So I was listening to the whole session. So I was able to relate because ये जो भी आपने बताया डे टू डे लाइफ में चलता रहता है मेरे प्लेसमेंट्स को लेके, बच्चों का प्लेसमेंट करवाना, जब सही सब चीज सही चलती है, वीकली टारगेट्स पूरे होते हैं, अच्छा लगता है, राइट? और जब वीकली टारगेट्स नहीं होते हैं, लो फेज चलता है, तब शायद समझ नहीं आता क्या करना चाहिए. सो आई वाज एबल टू रिलेट कि यार उस टाइम क्या क्या चीजें करनी चाहिए, एंड मैंने कुछ इंसाइट्स लिए इस सेशन से. आई होप बाकी लोगों ने भी इंसाइट्स लिए होंगे. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, पहली बात तो सभी लोग चैट बॉक्स में लिख दो आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा आज के सेशन का. जस्ट जो भी आपका एक्सपीरियंस था, यू कैन राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स. देन प्रिया मैम विल बी फ्लोटिंग अ फीडबैक फॉर्म इन द चैट बॉक्स. उससे पहले आप बता दो क्या लर्निंग थी आपके आज के सेशन की.
And even if you have any question to the Shreya ma'am,
Yes,
please
yes.
Put it in the chat box. We will be helping you right away now itself. Like
अगर आपको कुछ भी पूछना है, अगर आपको लगता है कि मैं क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा तो शायद पता नहीं क्या क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा, मैंने यही बोला कि एक रेगुलर सेशन नहीं है. जो भी मन में कोई डाउट है, कुछ भी जिंदगी को लेके, प्रोफेशनल्स को लेके, सो यू कैन जस्ट टाइप इन द चैट बॉक्स. अगर आपको प्रिया मैम से पर्सनली पूछना है या श्रेया मैम से पर्सनली टाइपिंग करना है, यू कैन जस्ट राइट इन चैट बॉक्स. वी आर हियर इन द सेशन. एनीवन, जल्दी बता दो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था सेशन का, उसके बाद वी विल मूव फॉरवर्ड for the questions. So I have got reply from Shubham, Sonu, Junaid, Omkar, Nilima, Amosh. कोई क्वेश्चन है किसी के? श्रद्धा, Sonu, Sanskar, Junaid, Pragati, Nilima, Sanskar.
Sir, my question a bit clear, but some questions I all written in the chat box to direct to Priya ma'am. So
Yeah, Priya.
yeah, so it's better for me to connect them in the NGO website or Instagram. That's my personal question is there. So
Okay. So I see your question. So
Amos.
do you want me to give it to the counselor so that the counselor can
Yeah.
answer, or do you want a way to reach out to BCare?
Better to go as per your opinion, which is better, counselor or BCare?
So the counselor is at BCare only. So I'll just give this question to Shreya ma'am. So the question is, accepting the reality I know, but to get myself love, need the mind to have drink sometime.
One second, Priya. So is it okay if we discuss
No,
it right now?
no,
I
not
don't
okay,
think it's
ma'am.
not. Yeah. Priya,
Okay.
he wants. Yeah. So
Okay.
I also see another question. Is that okay if you know, so some I'll not take the name, but if suppose you're not getting sleep because of various pressures, job pressure हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, then what do we do about it, right? So again, there could be various reasons sleep nahi aa raha hai, but if you're saying particularly job pressure ki wajah se, you're thinking a lot about it, then what you can do is pehle to making breath work a daily practice can help, because pressure dimag mein hota hai. I mean, you're experiencing something, but also it affects our body. So when we are working with our body, it really helps us. Uska matlab, you know, it allows us to handle the situation a little more better, or our mind is a little more calmer. So meditation, if possible, meditating for 10 to 15 minutes, but breath work for sure. Like there are various breath works, you know, kinds of breath work. You can see them online also, YouTube pay, and doing it at least for 5 to 10 minutes, that will help. But oh, you're doing, okay, this is Amosh, this is somebody else. Okay. So if somebody is doing that, then great. Agar wo karne ke baad bhi, and making sure you're sleeping on time, you're getting your proper 8 hours or 6 or 7 hours sleep, and you're eating right, ये सब बहुत जरूरी है, because ये basics होता है. जब भी basics पे कुछ इधर उधर होता है ना, some days it's fine, but overall basics में जब problem हो जाता है, then it will eventually affect us. So making sure pehle basics are, you know, all sorted. So your sleep cycle, your eating right, your also before going to sleep, if there is any practice that you can inculcate into your daily life. So phone dekh ke, you know, sochte, so better to not sleep that way. Better to take few deep breaths, or just think about the good things in the day. Or if there are some things, socho you're wanting to sleep and dimag pura, you're thinking about tomorrow, this I have to do, that I have to do, itna stress hai, somebody is behaving this way with me, wo sab ho raha hai, then write it down. Write it down in a piece of paper, book mein likh do ki ye ho raha hai, these are my thoughts, and take few deep breaths. Imagine that again, you know, you're sitting in a room with all these emotions, with all the thoughts, you're just sitting. So ye hum practice kar rahe hain, to be okay, to tolerate with, you know, to tolerate whatever is happening. अच्छा मुझे jealous लग रहा है, you know, I'm very jealous, somebody is able to do it, मुझे नहीं हो रहा है. Okay, so let the jealousy sit next to you, and sit along with it for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, जितना भी तुम्हें लगता है, बैठो उसके साथ. See if you want to write something else in your book, or if you want to movement bhi kar sakte ho, you know, the movement. So not working out ke alawa, playing whatever music you want to, preferably instrumental music, not something with lyrics, and just moving, you know, moving. You don't have to dance or anything, but just moving your body, so that jo bhi lag raha hai, it's all energy, you're just letting out, giving space, and you're letting that out. But even after doing all of this, wo fir bhi bahut, you know, it's bothering you a lot, then you might need a little bit of help in the professional space. And professional space mein hum yahi karte hain, you know, we are trying to kind of make you develop these skills, which takes a little bit of time. I hope I answered your question a little bit. Let me know if there is anything more. I think there are more questions, are there? Yes, that does happen. Stress के वजह से confidence, low self-esteem होना, a lot of other things. They're all very interconnected. Yes, you can. If anybody wants to connect one-on-one, reach out to BCare. Priya, do you want to? I think you can reach out to your team and they'll share the BCare details.
Yeah. So and there is one more question, Shreya. So what should I do when I am not able to concentrate in studies?
If you're not able to concentrate on your studies.
Yes, I'm not able to focus in studies.
Okay, so focus in studies as in if there was a gap, after a long gap you're studying इसीलिए नहीं focus हो रहा है, then that's a different case. But in general, अगर focus नहीं हो रहा है, then we'll have to identify what may be the factors which are kind of not letting us stay in the present. तो हो सकता है आजकल, this is one very common thing कि because we are so addicted to or so engaged with our gadgets, बहुत सारा energy and it kind of takes away a lot of our energy. So when we are trying to focus on something, इतना energy नहीं होता है. If that is one of the case, then you will have to look at how can you limit your time on the cell phone, on social media, social networking sites. But other than that, what are the other things you can do is to, again, breath work helps. But other than breath work, if you could also kind of list out, I mean, if you're studying syllabus hai, padna hai, then coming up with ways that will work for you. And again, there is no one way that will work for everybody. And I want everybody to take a note of this. इसीलिए हमें experiment करते रहना पड़ता है कि what will help me and what is not helping me. So if you are having to study for an hour, and generally, I think we all know this कि 20 minutes से ज़्यादा attention span नहीं होता है naturally for humans. But if you're having to study for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, so whatever number of hours, then how do you kind of keep making your mind थोड़ा उसको boost up करते रहना पड़ता है. And that is why, right, people drink a lot of coffee. That is because you need that dopamine rush, or you just want to feel a little bit energized to be able to last for that. So that may not really help. That's going to eventually uske side effects hote hain. That's like a immediate boost up. Jo bhi immediately boost karta hai, uska side effect hota hai. So, but what are these things which we can create for ourselves to last for a longer duration? You're studying and you have to focus. So, taking brisk walks, quick walks will help. 15 minutes walk leke, you're taking the air in and letting out whatever stress and then coming back. Would that help? Or are you somebody who can make notes, and would that keep you more engaged? So you'll have to figure out the techniques that you can use. But other than that, focus nahi ho raha hai because you're thinking about other things and that's really affecting you, then we will have to deal with that separately. Yes.
And there is one more question here. So during the sleep time, mind is thinking about the placement and the rejection, the money, the finance situation and everything like that.
Okay. So the things you're afraid about or vulnerable about, so mind is thinking about that. वो case में हम क्या कर सकते हैं? So generally, the mind also, the interesting fact about mind is that it tries to keep us safe. उसका duty होता है कि हमको safe रखे. So that is why, right? So if suppose as a child you burnt your hand, next time you will remember, and that's how we have been learning so many skills, survival skills. So that is what the mind does. So you have a placement, and then your mind will constantly remind you कि अगर वो नहीं होगा, तो this will be the consequence, that will be the consequence. What will you do? And what the mind is actually doing there is that it wants to know कि अगर कुछ भी हो जाए, would you be okay, you know, would we be able to manage, उसको वो जानना है, इसीलिए it will keep giving you the worst case scenarios. But that's the mind thing. So knowing that whenever you're feeling that fear, whenever you're feeling like negative consequence जब भी लग रहा है, again bringing yourself back to the present. जितना हो सके प्रेजेंट में फोकस करना एंड प्रेजेंट में रहने के लिए कोशिश करना. Again, you know, everything we do today, unfortunately, is taking us away from the present moment, right? So if you want to be in the present, just acknowledging that your mind is trying to do this and then bringing yourself back to the present. And जो भी आप कर रहे हो, just being mindful. Suppose I have to give this presentation and I have something else to do after this, and my mind is constantly thinking about iske baad you have to do this, you know, if I have to rush and do this, how will you do it, agar late ho gaya to kya hoga? So I'm trying to bring myself back to the present moment and trying to engage in the present activity jo bhi hai. You know, I am giving the presentation, how mindful can I be, how present I can be. फिर से thought उधर जा रहा है, let it go, become aware and come back again. फिर से जा रहा है, फिर से bring it back. Just like the workouts we do, just like any other skill, जाते रहेगा mind, you'll have to bring it back. And also another important thing you can do here is to remind yourself of the other things. अगर ये reject हो जाएगा, financially ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, what are your strengths? What are the other things that you know you still can do? And so kind of reminding yourself of that, writing it down in a piece of paper or book में लिखो और सोने से पहले उसको भी पढ़ो, that I have this skill, I have that skill, or I'm good at this, I'm good at that. अगर ये नहीं होगा तो मैं ये कर सकता हूँ, and I can still do with whatever I have. I you know, it's not going to be worse. So तुम literally, like if a child is scared, it's you know, child is coming to the parent and asking कि मम्मा ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, मैं क्या करूँ? So that is the mind. Treat the mind like a child. And you are reassuring the child. You are telling कि अगर ये होगा भी, we will manage, and come up with what are the ways you can manage. So write that down, talk to that mind, talk to the child/mind, and go to bed. Try this and see how that works. Yes. Any
Yeah, I don't think, like, I don't see any other question. So if you have any other question, please ping. If not, you can go ahead and fill this feedback form, which I have given in the chat. And yeah, so after this, yeah.
So one-to-one connection के लिए what to do?
Yeah, please reach out to the this Skillage team, Amush, and if you think I will be reaching out to the Skillage team for that. If not, you can directly reach out to the BCare team. So anything is fine, Amush. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are ending the session here then.
Yeah. So Service, I think we can wind up the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the bell icon. #Skill से करियर तक हम आपके साथ हैं.